Hello again, everybody. This is William Legault from Salem Digest, and we are here again in the studios at Salem Access Television here on Derby Street, and we're bringing to you another candidate for the November 2nd municipal election. And right now we have at-large candidate Melissa Faulkner. Melissa, how are you? Thanks for coming by.
Thank you so much, William. It's a pleasure always to see you and to be here finally in this beautiful studio. I'm doing amazing. And how have you been?
Oh, I got no complaints. I wake up in the morning, I'm happy.
I see all your posts.
Every time, every time. You want to jump right into the questions then? We can do that. So this is, correct me if I'm wrong, your second run at elective office here in Salem. You ran at large 2 years ago.
Yes, correct.
So the question I have, and I've asked everybody, why are you doing this to yourself? What's the motivation?
Well, I sincerely love Salem. And I think that the constituents and everyone here have a lot of value. You know, Salem has a lot of character. We have great diversity. We're waterfront. You know, we have a lot of history, and I love it here. I love being here. I love raising my children here, and what originally got me into running for office in the first place, if you recall, was the Homes for Salem media campaign. You know, my family was almost homeless, and it was like an Easter miracle, Good Friday miracle. We got to move back to Salem, you know, 4 years ago on Easter Sunday. So I am a mom of 5 boys. My youngest, Judah Daniel's 6. Joshua Josiah is 8. Jeremiah Paul is 10. William Edward is 21. College student now too in North Shore, yeah.
Oh, nice, nice.
And my oldest is 23.
I've met one or two of the younger ones, I think.
You met the 3 littles. Are we going to do another dunk tank?
I don't know if he's doing a dunk tank this year.
Oh, I'd love to do a dunk tank.
I don't know. I got off a wet. I got off a wet in that dunk
That's
tank.
the purpose,
yes.
right? That was fun. So yes, you did meet 3 of them, and as you saw, my 8-year-olds could be a little challenging at times.
Rambunctious?
Rambunctious. He actually has a rare form of epilepsy called panniculosis epilepsy, and he takes CBD, and he's been quite successful. He goes out of district. So I was so grateful to be given an opportunity to come back to the city that I was born, that I love, and obviously with the cost of rents and housing being an issue, it wasn't on my list of,
right.
I was trying to get back here, let's just say. So not only was I able to find an amazing place to live, which I have, you know, I'm still residing at. The owners of the property actually bought a single family house up in Georgetown, and I'm the property manager, so I'm taking care of, you know, the property, and very happy to do so. But my son, the school district, agreed to, after evaluating my son, that he needed an out-of-district placement at the Manville School in Roxbury.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I was very grateful. Like, obviously, not obviously, but given my background as a paraprofessional, mental health assistant, autism support, and my oldest 2 boys were on IEPs as well, both within the Salem School District when they were young. They set a really good tone for me to understand what a team looks like, how a parent's supposed to feel supported and comfortable and asking questions. So coming back into Salem, I knew what to expect. And I came with all of the evaluations and everything he needed. And, you know, they agreed that he needed the out-of-district placement, which when I heard the cost, William, I was floored. I had no idea how much it cost. The city of Salem, $90,000 just for the school. That doesn't include his transportation. That doesn't include his nurse. So I thought to myself, you know, I do come from a family of servants. I don't know if you know the Monahans that were firefighters. My mom's a Monahan. I have 2 great uncles from Canada that were state senators. I never thought I'd see myself doing something like this, but I've always been one to speak up and advocate for people in need behind the scenes. Don't need a title to do it. But I thought, how could I give back at a greater level? What could I do to give back? So my son William, my son Joshua was doing great, going to school. Yes.
William Edward?
William Edward. Have you heard of Faulkner, the author?
There's a couple of Faulkner authors, but only one big one.
The big
William
one.
Faulkner,
The
yeah.
big one,
Yeah,
William
yeah.
Faulkner. My boys are related to the author.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Good.
so anytime they, don't get that A in English, I'm like, you have a big name to live on.
Maybe give him a call.
William Faulkner, my son who's now in business school at North Shore, actually scored very high on his high set. So William was having a hard time in traditional school. What I realized, and it's okay, it's like I don't fit in a box. And I was always told to stay in a box. But I like the saying, stay in your lane better, because I can do that, right? So that's how I've been trying to raise my children, is stay in your lane, just be true to who you are. And him being true to who he is, he's a businessman. He likes to debate and he's good with numbers. So, I must digress a little bit to explain how he kind of got there. Traditional school was really difficult for him. In my personal life, I'm a survivor of domestic violence. As some people know, my oldest son was beat by a few police. And I'm not anti-police, I'm pro-education, pro-funding, pro-support, because our police should be able to do what they do best, right? Protecting and serving. They shouldn't have all the different hats that they wear. But that's something else that's helped me come into this position of wanting to run, to be part of the solution, not just to be, a complainer. Life can make you better. It really can, or it can make you better. So, part of the solution for William was either to go to summer school. So we went to the IEP meeting to decide, because I knew that the school district where we were living at the time, 600 square feet in Middleton, for a year and a half, substandard housing, but we did what we had to do to get through one of the most challenging times. My oldest was having grand mal seizures. My youngest was kicked out of 2 daycares at this time. He was labeled that child. Unbeknownst to us, he had this undiagnosed of epilepsy and ADHD. And, it was just, it was really trying. So the last thing I wanted to do was put more stress and pressure on my son, but at the same time, he needed an education.
Sure.
So we went to the IEP meeting and they said, well, if he came to school, we'd be able to give him the help he needed. And I said, well, there has to be another option because he's having a hard time in this setting. And they're like, well, he can go take night classes. And I said, well, is there any other options? I'm always, because you don't know if you don't ask.
Right.
And one of the social workers spoke up and said, well, there is a program called Youth Builds. And I said, what's that? So I went home with all of the information. And as I like to see myself as a facilitator of sorts, right? I can't make anybody do anything. We can have a conversation. I believe everyone should have a seat at the table, even children. And my son decided to go have an interview with Youth Builds. Subsequently, he finished the program in 3 months, got the highest high set scores they've ever seen. I think he got like an 18, which like normal passing is like 9. He ended up tutoring some students. And and then he made the decision to go to college. So I'm very proud and happy for him. My oldest, I'm pro-cannabis. If you know me, it's medicine to me. I was a guest speaker, a guest host at the Freedom Rally and ended up becoming a panelist this weekend. I'm all for choice. Inclusion, choice, options, right? Because not one size fits all for anybody. He is a chef at the Cheesecake Factory and is taking advantage of the education that they're providing for him. So,
Well, good, good. All right, let's move on, if you don't mind.
absolutely.
The second question is a zoning question. It's an issue in the city. It's always an issue, forever and ever.
Yes.
Always will be. Do you consider our current zoning code accurate, or is it time to have a good look at it for serious revision?
I've been learning a lot about zoning. Obviously, running for at-large, it's something that I need to become familiar with. And I understand, the different types of zoning, and I've been learning how it applies to what my role will be. And I believe that we need to take a serious look at where we're at with zoning. I believe, especially with, the infrastructure getting older and us having to make updates, wouldn't it be prudent of us to take a look and see how we can improve on the infrastructure while perhaps making more space for affordable housing or our seniors? Seniors really have a big heart in the homeless, for me. I bump into a lot of them that tell me their stories in the grocery store. I'm that person that everyone tells everything to. And I just believe that everyone has a perception on it, right? So everyone has an opinion on, no, we need to maintain the structural integrity of the history. Well, our history is part of who we are, right? So like everyone here was accepted. We're mixed, we're diverse, we're mixed on who comes to the city. As far as, you know, we have the police, we have teachers, we have, you know, college students. And Salem has always been a place where it's a mixing pot, where everyone can come together. And I know housing has been a big issue, hence the zoning, wanting to change the zoning to add more housing. And I think we really need to take a good look at it and not have fear-mongering, but hardcore facts. I know the census came in. I think we should take a really good look at that and see what the actual growth in the city is, versus, you know, speculating that someone's going to do this with their property or that with their property. And I love that we have all these boards and these subcommittees. And I believe that if we, you know, bring everyone to the table that has a vested interest, from the homeless individual to the elderly to the business owner, and include everyone in the conversation, and let everyone talk, right? Everyone have their time to express in a constructive manner how they're feeling, then we could come together on this and continue with the growth that is inclusive for everyone moving forward. So in short, yes, I do believe we need to take a good look at it.
So following up on zoning, there basically are three big zoning issues, debates that are coming up. One that's actually already started, and that would be the zoning on Bridge Street Neck, which is, if you look at the zoning map, it's every color that we have in the zoning map except for one. You have every possible type of zoning on that short stretch of Bridge Street that you can have in Salem, so short of the industrial zoning. Do you think that the zoning on Bridge Street Neck really does need to be changed, or is it fine the way it is?
I have not been privy to taking a look at the zoning map that you're speaking of, but as it sits currently right now, I don't see it working for everybody as a whole. I think it could have better usage. If you can elaborate on what exactly you're looking at, what.
Well,
so we have that green space, we have our commercial, we have our residential.
You're looking at the whole stretch of Bridge Street Neck, basically from Howard Street, where the cemetery is,
yes,
all the way to the end of Bridge Street, where you connect with the bridge. There's a lot of different types of zoning there. Been a lot of changes there over the years. There's commercial zoning, there's residential zoning, there's strictly automotive zoning. It's a hodgepodge. Every block basically contains multiple allowed zoning uses. Some people think that should change and it should go to a more restricted zone and not quite so wide open.
I would like to see what the constituents in that ward think. That's what I would want to do. As a counselor, I wouldn't say, this is what I think. I would really want to do a consensus on what the constituents think as a whole. I think sometimes we can have our opinions, we can have our views, but I never am going to make a decision without having feedback from the people that actually live in that area, because that is going to affect them in day out. You and I may drive through there, of course, but at the same time, you know, it is good to have mixed use because it brings in tax revenue, sure. Which, if I may, with all of this development going on and all the taxes coming in from such, I've been hearing that tax bills have been going up substantially. And I just feel like, where is all the tax revenue going to? There's a lot of stories I'm hearing, once again, of people being property rich, but cash poor, that they're being priced out of their homes. I would like to take a look at where all this revenue, especially from the condos and whatnot, you know, and help the constituents that have been pouring their lives and souls into this amazing city, right, for their whole lives, that have already put their kids through school, right, have already paid their dues, and now they're living off a pension or Social Security. William, and they don't even know if they can stay in their house. Yes, they can turn around and sell their house because property values have gone up substantially because of all the growth, which is, just, a product of the growth, But at the same time, it's hurting a lot of people. So I really want to take an in-depth look to see how we could, is it a matter of, building more senior housing so they can still stay within Salem and maybe move to a different location, or does their homes really need to be assessed at that value? Once again, I'm not an expert in that field, but the one thing about me is I don't know everything. And you saw me at the at-large race, 2 years ago. If I don't know something, I can't know everything. But I will tell you this: I will connect with people and collaborate with those who do know.
Yeah, nobody knows everything. So we're gonna bookmark. We're gonna put
Okay.
aside the zoning just for a second, but we'll come back. And you touched on the tax rate. That is an issue for a lot of people. So the city budget is right around $170 million right now. You have your commercial tax rate and you have your private residential tax rate. What do you think can be done to bring that tax rate down?
Well, I would like to take an in-depth look at the books and see what's being spent where, because it just seems like we have a lot of money coming in. And while there's a lot of projects being done, I want to see what can be done to give back. And I don't know what that's going to exactly look like. We have certain people, we have a disproportion of privilege in those struggling. It seems like the middle class is kind of being squeezed out of the equation, right? And the elderly and the disabled. So there's certain people that in our community that really need that help. And then there's people that are in a position that they're okay. And I just want to be able to make sure that everybody's okay, that there's equality for everybody. Like the saying goes, we're all in the same boat. Well, some of us have a yacht, some of us have a rowboat, some of us
Well, we're not in the same boat.
sunk,
We might be in the same body of water.
Exactly. So I really have a heart. This is the thing about me. I truly, people that think they know me and try to put me into one category, I ask you not to do that, because I sincerely care about everybody as a whole, and I can work with just about anybody. So, for instance, if you disagree with me on a topic, and I'm not going to unfriend you on Facebook, I'm not going to block you, I want to hear what you have to say, and even if you're angry or upset or disenfranchised, I was angry and upset and disenfranchised in many aspects of my life, and that's what's kind of propelled me forward. I believe that everyone should be given a platform to be heard, if that makes sense.
Let's go back a little bit to zoning, but at the same time, we're going to segue into question 3, because question 3 is on development, but it ties directly into the zoning conversation. Mm-hmm. One of the next big zoning issues we're going to have in Salem that's going to be discussed, and it's going to take a couple of years to square away, is what's going to happen down at the 40-plus acres of land at the power plant that they want to develop. That's going to entail a huge zoning discussion, especially if they want to make any changes to the way it's zoned now. Have you any thoughts on what you'd like to see down there on that power plant property?
I have seen a couple of the plans, and I am concerned as for the constituents down there with the traffic flow, parking, but I mean, it is also on the waterfront too, so the wetlands. I am all for housing as a human need, but we have to be very concerned about our environment as well. So I would want to see what the plans are, to be able to save the environment, the traffic flow, what the traffic flow is going to look like. I'm really happy about the project down at the Willows. I really I am a supporter of our mayor, and like that she's had short-term visions and long-term visions. And someone that's gone through a lot of trials and errors myself, painful ones. Change is hard.
Yes, it is.
Very hard. It's very hard. But we can't live in the past. We have to move forward to meet the current needs of the constituents and people now, humans now. So I'd like to see what's being proposed. I hope it doesn't take 2 years. That's the thing. Like I want things done quicker, but I know there's the process. That's a part of politics. That and the whole raising money and running for office. I've actually funded my own campaign thus far. I'm going to be reaching out for support, but I'm just like, I hate asking for people for for money, although I am getting active right now with my Act Blue and all of that. But I want to work together and find something that's going to be conducive for everybody. That the constituents are, down in that area involved with. And I also want to note, see, this is the thing with me too, and I don't know if you've ever had anyone say this, I want to know who the builders are. I want to know what their reputation is. I want to know if they've had any lawsuits. You think over to the skate park, in the field, and COVID hit, and this field's getting shut down, and these kids that live in that neighborhood, especially, in the, the building right behind there, Salem Heights, where my grandmother used to live. And what's going on with that? Why is that taking so long? So I'm sure there's reasons, but can we get back any of the money? We got Witchcraft Heights. William, are you aware that someone made the decision to put all of the mentally challenged and disabled individuals on the top 2 floors of that building? Why? Why would you do that? I have a friend that lives in that building, and she was watching my epileptic son, and I had to take the stairs. And I went, oh my gosh, what if my son has a seizure and he's on the 7th floor? What happens? So I really want to look into all of it in detail. I'm not going to be a rubber stamp. I'm going to ask questions. And I also want to be that counselor. If a constituent in the community isn't as outspoken as I am, they can come to me. They can write a letter that I can read, or however they want to get their questions across. I think I want to be a voice. I have my opinions, I have my views, of course, but I understand my role is to do what's best for all the constituents of Salem as a whole.
All right. So we're going to move on to, it's another development question, and it also involves the zoning conversation.
Really?
That is the property over at Shetland, purchased fairly recently by a group for a whole lot of money. They have plans, they have a vision for what they want for that property, and is going to take zoning changes. And again, that's a conversation, that's a long conversation. Those are joint meetings between various city boards and the city council. What do you see, or what would you like to see happen down there at the Shetland property?
Well, I like to see the meetings be made, well, they've been public, right? But they necessarily haven't been advertised as openly to everyone as possible, because there's been some behind the scenes things I heard about, but I'm not sure if it's true or not, because once again, you're hearing about it secondhand, third hand. So I don't know if you know about that. So they came across with the plans, but only certain people were allowed to really attend the meeting, and then they had to file an appeal because they bought the building, bought the property to do what they wanted to do. So I like to see some more commercial. We need some more tax revenue for commercial. I don't want to see luxury condos. I love the whole affordable housing, but 10% just really isn't realistic, William. It's just not. And what's affordable? What's affordable? Because what's affordable to the developers and people making policy, and I know that's more of a federal level than it is a city level. And I actively am involved in attending different federal meetings, and educating myself on as many different levels as I can so I can understand how things work. Rent control would be great, right? But how do we implement something as such? Or, affordable housing, you have to, have a certain, level of income to qualify, and then there's so much red tape to go along with it. So with that particular property, I really be interested in seeing a few different plans and being involved in the meetings and the process, and once again, involving the constituents. What do they want to see? I know in that ward, those constituents have lost a lot of their parking. Are they gonna perhaps get back some parking spaces maybe? Could that be part of the give and take? Because I understand there is a give and take in everything, right? That's really bothersome. I know a lot of parents. My little one started kindergarten this year at the Bates. My 10-year-old also goes to the Bates in 5th grade. And I've had conversations with a few parents that live down there, and they haven't got proper trash pickup. They want more trash pickup. They have a lot of trash. They have a lot of recycling. If it snows, do you realize how bad the plowing was down there? And then they have no place to park. So with that property being right there, I would like to see if they'd be willing to maybe provide a certain area of parking that can help those constituents, have some quality of life and not be stressed out getting a parking ticket because you worked a different shift and they put up a sign that they're doing street sweeping or they're doing the plowing, and then you get a ticket or your car gets towed. I don't know if you've been privy to any of those conversations with people, but I have. So I'd be open to see, interested, but once again, it ain't about me, it ain't about you, it's about what works best for the city and the people directly connected to that neighborhood.
All right, let's move on a little bit to a question that I've asked everybody that's seeking a council seat, incumbent or challenger. Do you think that the relations between the councilors, the communication between the councilors have been proper in the last couple of years? It's gotten a bit contentious. Do you think that the city council is having respectful dialogue with each other for the benefit of the public? Or do you think there's room for improvement there?
I always think there's room for improvement, and I don't believe there's proper representation currently on the council.
Okay.
There's no, of all the large, there's, as far as I know, and the information I'm privy to, I'm the only renter. I'm the only one that brings the background. I might not have all the book smarts, but I have the street smarts, and I think with that, the communication skills to be able to collaborate. So in short, I think they could be better. I know some of these topics can get a bit contentious, and there is a lot of opinions, and I give everyone credit for running for office and being on the council. And I do know a lot of them personally. But yes, I definitely believe that there could be better communication, better representation, and I believe that I could be that council that could help bridge the gap and keep things a little in check, because I've walked in many circles in life, and I understand the importance of respecting one another, and keeping the conversation and communication moving and going forward.
And on the same subject, the council has to communicate with the mayor's office, and the mayor's office has to communicate with the council. Do you feel that communication from the mayor's office to the council is as transparent as it needs to be, as timely as it needs to be, and are there issues there also?
I haven't been privy to any of that because I haven't been on the actual council, but I do believe that transparency is key. I don't think there should be, if I'm thinking what you're thinking, I have heard some of the things, that there's been, people looking at phone messages or voting one way or another based on someone. I don't know if that's what you're responding to.
I was just asking a general question.
It's hearsay. I don't know. I know I would never partake in that. That I have to go home at night and go to sleep. I go to sleep at night with a good conscience, knowing that I live my life above reproach and try to do the best I can. And I would not be privy to any of that. And if I did see any of that, I would be one of the first to speak up and bring it to the attention of the council and the mayor, and if need be, I would even come to you, because I believe that we work for the constituents, for Salem.
Absolutely you do. So Time's almost up, believe it or not. It's 35 minutes that goes by pretty fast. Give it a little thought if you need to. Your top 2 priorities if you get elected on November 2nd.
I'm very concerned about our schools. I'm very concerned about, the education, us not being on the top of the education across the state, having children within the school district, knowing that teachers aren't getting paid as much as they need to be. I mean, I know that's a federal thing as well. Knowing that, they have to buy a lot of products out of their pocket, which I don't think. I would like to give them a lot more support. Housing is always an issue, for sure. The zoning, making sure there's affordable housing, making sure there's proper representation, but also, I know it's hard for just having 2 topics, right? The inclusion for everybody. I love how Salem has put the curbs in, the lower curbs in, the bike lanes. I know that's a major area of contention. We use the bike lanes. I actually feel pretty safe in doing that. But I just want to make sure that we're taking positive steps forward, that Salem is inclusive for everyone, that everyone has a voice, that our teachers are being, properly supported. And it'd be great for, our first responders and teachers to possibly have, an opportunity to live where they work. That would be great to see. I know that's been in the talks as well with other counselors. So, I mean, I have many of things. I'm very passionate, but I would say the schools and the environment as a whole.
Fair enough. And that's it. That was easy, wasn't it?
Having a conversation with you, William, is always easy.
Oh,
you make it easy.
Stop. All right, guys. That's it for this time. This is William Legault of Salem Digest here at the SATV studios on Derby Street, and we just had a nice chat with Counselor at Large candidate Melissa Faulkner. We wish you the best on the 2nd of November, and we're asking you guys to get out there and vote, because every vote does indeed count. Thank you very much. We'll see you with another candidate before you know it.